Welcome everyone. This is a world where there are puzzles everywhere. So, as some of you might be noticing, this is a video that you might recognize because I've already made a video for Sightseeing about the Talos Principle. Fucking phone. Give me a second. There we go. So, like I said, I already made a video before. Problem is I kind of balked that one up with the recording. I started recording it. I'm using a certain program, and apparently I didn't set it up right, so as some of you might have seen, it has been laggy as shit. Yeah. So, this is going to be kind of Sightseeing 1.1, or 1.2, however you want to call it, but this is going to be the redone version, which is probably going to be faster, because I have a lot better thoughts about what I want to say about the world and stuff like that. So hey, that's something. And it's going to, hopefully at least, be a lot better quality. And this time hopefully I'm not going to bulk up the audio recording as well. So, who knows? So for those of you who are new here, or actually for everyone, since I didn't explain this properly last time, this series is called Sightseeing. I, as a, well, hopefully aspiring video game designer at some point, or at least game designer, am going to go, like a tourist going to go to different worlds, so different games, and see what they have to offer and what I can learn from them. So basically, we are going to go in, like a tourist, take a tour around the world, see what's ever interesting, and go for a little bit of sightseeing. Who knows? Maybe there's a lot to learn, maybe there's nothing to learn at all. One thing is going to be for certain, I'm going to try and make every game at least a little bit interesting. So, how about you start going back inside of the Talos Principle, the game that we actually came for. So, before we begin, a little bit of information about the Talos Principle. Talos Principle is a game created by Croteam and published by Devolver Digital. It's also one of the funniest parts about this game, because this game is kind of serious about what is a consciousness, what is a person, what makes something or someone a person, stuff like that, which is quite philosophical and quite serious. However, Croteam's other games, that they're mostly known for, are the serious Sam games. Those are the games where you take a large-ass gun, and like 10 other large-ass guns, run through whatever world you're in and shoot everything that moves. And make sure to make loads and loads of funny quips about anything that's happening. So yeah, we're kind of making a serious game here, and it's one of the reasons why this game is interesting. Second of all, it does some very, I believe at least, smart design stuff that we can all learn from. So, how about we take a look? Come on, talk, God. I know you're here. I guess the first thing.
Behold, child. You are risen from the dust, and you walk in my garden. Hear now my voice, and know that I am your maker, and I am called Elohim. Seek me in my temple, if you are worthy.
Calls I unworthy, Mr. God. So, first of all, a few interesting things to look at. This game, as we already noticed around here, has something of a feeling about higher powers, obliging those higher powers, and the difference between God and man, and also what makes man. So, that general feeling already gets shown at the very first moment where you basically wake up, look up onto the sky, reach out towards the sun as if to reach out towards God, and then return to the material world. Then the second most interesting thing is already the point where we actually get shown where to go. We start off at the end, so there's no way for us to go, and the first thing we see after looking up at God is the path shown to us, the path shown by God. As we can see here, there's a nice little bit of framing when we look at the first 2 pillars over here and the first 2 pillars over here, which frame our view this way. Where there's also, of course, this archway and all these half-broken, well, mostly broken pillars, and the pathway already, all guiding us towards this place. The most interesting spot around here being the doorway. Now, we can look around here, but I already know that there's nothing to find here. And here's the first interesting thing. We have nothing that could be dangerous to us so far, and the first thing you see here is this strange purplish kind of gateway. Now at this point, especially now that since we just started, we have seen our hand, which shown us that we are robotic, and ta-da, we are a robot. But in general, when you are in here, it looks as if you are in ancient Rome. Everything that shows us is just nature or ancient Rome buildings which are broken down but not overtaken by nature yet. It's all becoming a kind of one. As you see over here, that's broken, all of that's broken. Except for this. Now at this point we might think it's a magic field, but it's some kind of force field. We don't know where it's coming from. But we can at least show from basically the calm pattern that it has, and standing out as this completely different color scheme. Because there's no purple anywhere in this world. As you can see, there is some red that's encountered there. There's blue over here in the sky, but that's the normal, the natural form of blue. And there's mostly green and marble around us. However, this purple is completely out of the color scheme, already showing us that this is something interesting and drawing our eyes to it. So, as we've been primed to go here, let's try and go through the door. Now, basically, we're getting told on the left side with the logic tech that we are being tested to see if we know how logic works. So when we come inside of here, we already get primed to look at this thing. This now tells a lot about the world, as this obviously has a part mechanical structure inside of this. We also know that this is basically already not as nice as that is, since the pattern here is wild and sporadic and kind of violent. Also, we have this sound that we hear, this buzzing that tells us that there's something wrong. Now, one of the best things is this is the first obstacle that we find, but it's completely at the beginning again. That it means if, for example, this were to kill us, we just start over there and have nothing to lose at this point. So we are primed to try and find out whatever we can do with this. And as we walk, we can see that this stops our movement. It blocks us, or at least it blocks something. Now, something interesting that you want to keep in mind is also that this world has some color coding. As we see here, there's this blue. It stops movement. Whatever this is, it makes sure that we can't progress. It stops progression but basically anything. And we also over here have the purple. It's a lot. The color might be a little bit more violent for some people. That's I'm not sure about how color and psychology works anymore for certain. But the pattern that's inside of here is a lot less graceful and a lot more soothing, allowing us to think that this is at least better for us, and also, as we have shown, we can progress through this, so it does not hinder our progression. It tells us basically most often where to go, as that's the next point of progression. So purple often lets us progress further. Then we also in the game have red, which is essentially danger. Whenever we're not thinking properly or doing something stupid around something red, it will not only halt our progression, but it will set our progression back. So in basics, purple will enable us to go further, blue will block us, and red will set us back. That color coding is something that you'll find further on in the world. Now, as we have obviously seen this, been primed to go towards this, tried it out and seen that we can't go here, we also notice now over here that there's another yellowish thing. Yellow also primes our attention because this is also color and a form that we're not used to seeing in this natural environment. It does not fall inside of either the nature of the trees and the ground, but it also doesn't fall inside of the structural feeling of the old Romantic buildings. So this yellow part essentially also being highlighted by the sun going down on it, that's something that we'll come back to later, already shows us that there's something else important over here. There's something that we most often will see when we walk over here, but even if we don't, and as you see, it is in our peripheral vision, so we already notice that there's something over there. But even if we don't, if we follow the path, it will also prime us to go over here, since this path obviously shows us that there's more to look for. So, there's no way for us to get past this. And whenever we start looking at it, we're already shown what we can do with it. We can take it with us, and we're already shown what it is. We're not sure what it does yet, but it will jam something at least. There's one of the slightly weaker parts where it will tell us something. Generally, in game design, all we want to do is show us, and this game is pretty darn good at this. It makes us do instead of read. But it still tells us that it's a jammer in the end. Now, as we were primed before, this is a logic test, so we can now see in the upper left corner when that message came by is that our logic for interacting with objects has now been tested as okay. The theme of technology versus nature is something that will come up a lot in the game, and that's also something that will reinforce it. Now, one of the interesting things is that we can already see that this glows blue, but there's also this reticule that we see, so we already know that this is something interesting that we can work with. Also, the context-sensitive button that we see down there now tells us that we can jam it. So obviously, whenever we walk by, the first thing we'll do is see this. However, this is something that we cannot work with, and whenever someone would try to go through this, we can also see that it's kind of like Portal, where we can take it with us. One of the more interesting things is, in case this will happen, where nobody will pay any attention to that, and just walks on, the moment that they return and grab this, they're already shown right away that they can do something with that, because the moment they hover over it, it will give us a sound cue, it will give us a visual cue with the reticule, and it will give us another physical cue, which is not easy to see with this, because it's glowing blue, but the blue barrier, glowing blue, doesn't show us much. Hey. It also changed the sound of the music. There's this slight... that. As you can hear, that's not there. All priming us that that's something important, something different. Last thing, of course, is also the showing us that we can use the button to jam it, but hey, jam. Now, further on going into the test, we have already gotten another message about that. This will keep on going. If that's something you're interested about, keep on reading them, I'd say. Something else interesting to look at is once again this color coding. The jammer leads out a purple beam, allowing us to progress further. Once again, giving the theme that purple lets us progress on. Talking is so hard. Very well. Onwards we shall march, through the purple. More text, for those who are interested. Very well. Now here is what we once before I've been telling you about the red thing. Let's get in a little bit closer and see it. First of all, by the way, priming. We come in, we see the jammer. We walk further, we kind of notice the sound, which draws us to look over here, and then we see this. There's a red line here, there's a red line there. Both of them are right away in sight, so we can immediately discover what the dangers are. Now, whenever we come closer, well, let's get it close to us. We are shown, first of all, this red circle, basically, its perimeter. It shows us that within this whole hallway, there's no way of us getting past, because everywhere within that circle of red, it will detect us and go for us. Then second of all, we also notice the sound. Whenever we get closer, it... That wasn't a planning. Very well. Whenever we get closer, the sound gets faster, warning us that we are getting closer to danger. Also, whenever it opens up, we get shown more of the red inside, which also tells us that this is more dangerous. And one of the things that you just saw, since I got a little bit too close, is that whenever we do get damaged by this, whenever we are stupid enough to walk on and still get damaged, the best thing about this is that we start here, so there's no progression lost necessarily from now. There's not much danger, there's nothing lost. That's still over there. We just get bumped back here, and we can right away start again. Now, let's move on. We already know what this does because of the last time, and now when we get close, we already get shown right away via, once before, the sound cue, the reticule, and the blue part, and then the jam button, that we can use it on this. So without needing to teach us what we can do, we can already try it out by just plonking it down. And it shows us that now with the blue theme, it has been blocked. It stopped progressing. Once again, keeping the themes inside. More text. There we go. Now we got another one over here, which is one of the first things that we will see because we're primed on that. So if we keep on looking at it, we will obviously in our peripheral vision start looking at that one. This will already, when we grab it, once again show us that we can interact with it and block it. Great stuff. Those who are smart, by the way, might have noticed this. That again, if they want to, block this and take an extra one with them. Not sure why yet, there's probably a secret here to find with that, but it's a possibility that they can do that. Now here's another interesting thing. We already kind of know that we are not humans. One of those things is that we see reticules whenever we look at something, which is kind of interesting. One of the other ways to reinforce that ID is the QR codes that you can find throughout the world. This one is the first that can be found naturally in the world. The one that you saw before was one I placed there myself in a previous playthrough. And one of the interesting things about it is that, once again, like before, we are primed to look this way because of the whole hallway, the framing. There's actually trees on the side that frame this pathway, there's the walls that frame this pathway. And one of the more interesting things is that over there will catch your eye because there's this contrast. There's the white on the darker shade. You will see that every one of these QR markers that I've seen so far have always been placed on the darker side of an area, not within the light. Because here within the light, it'd be competing with each other. That'd be a white surface on a wider space. Here, there's the white surface on what's basically already a dark space. The contrast helps us find it. It primes our... No, it doesn't prime. It catches our attention. So we do this, and we get closer, we also get to see this. This targeting reticule is already something that we've noticed from using this, which already tells us something. This also tells us something about ourselves. We humans are not capable of looking at something and then scanning it and seeing whatever it says. QR codes are made for computers. They will read a message so that they can read them and then show them to us in something that we can understand. So that tells us already that even if we didn't do this, or if we didn't pay attention at the start, that we are something beyond human. We are apparently some type of at least cyborg with robot eyes or something like that will show us this. Because we cannot read these QR codes, but apparently whatever we are can. Something else interesting is this ladder over here, which whenever someone will follow the path, as the path walks like this, will get shown through the trees. Also a nice bit of positioning as it is straight in the middle of this if you follow this path. And the yellow part will show us that this is once again industrial and that we can do something with it. I'm not going to go over this because when I do I can't get past that asshole anymore. And then I'm stuck. Which I'd rather not do. Not going to take that one with me because I don't know what to use.
All across this land I have created trials for you to overcome. And within each I have hidden a sigil. It is your purpose to seek these sigils, for thus you will serve the generations to come and attain eternal life.
Oh, eternal life! By God, Charlie Cheese, I want that. That'd be horrible. Oh well, philosophical questions. Let's not get in those yet. I don't want this video to go over 2 hours. So, once again, we've got this interesting priming where we want to look over here, because first of all, this road catches our attention. That one blocks our path, so we follow the road the other side. And it shows us this nice little archway, which right away also shows us the archway after that, and shows that there's some type of light over there, which also piques our interest. Now also, when we walk here, if for some reason you missed the QR code over there, it will show us this QR code. Once again, on the darker side, so it contrasts, and this time, making it real hard to miss it. So this will, if you've not seen it the first time, this one will reinforce the fact that they exist in the world. And at this point, because they've been shown, you will already be searching for them a bit more. So, whenever you go in here, there's still more priming with the trees still showing which way to look at, and then the light, of course, over there. So the first thing we'll probably do is walk through here and see what's over here. We get shown that there's a puzzle, which shows us right away in the upper corner over there, or wherever it is, that there's something going on with something that we need to find, and where it's linked to. So when we look at that, there's a door, and we need to find 3 things to help open it. And this already shows us kind of what we're gonna need to do, but let's get in that when we got the pieces. This already shows us as well that there's something more to look for over there. QR codes, I guess. Let's get into those later. And we can see the reinforcement of what to look for over there, and also over there. Now, one thing I will say is that these sigils, or tetronymus as they are a bit overhyped by the game. Especially later on when you bamf in and out of worlds, you get shown before you go into a world what you can find in the world. Then whenever you enter the world, there will be boards telling you what is in the world. Then everywhere within the world, there will be these kind of boards telling you where the pieces are. Then, whenever you go to one of the doors, it will once again show us what's inside, and you'll see that this in a moment. Whenever we go inside one of these, we once again get shown what's inside. In my opinion, it's a bit heavy-handed, and it's something that could be a bit more subtle, but it gets the point across. That's something. And one of the handy things about the thing in the corner over there that shows us what we need is that we can actually, if you want to, start looking for those that we need and just move on. So in case of this, we need a Z shape and 2 L shapes, mirrored L shapes. So we already know that if we want to, we can be done by just doing these 3. Let's see, there was something over here. Oh, no, I couldn't open this. Never mind. So let's start going in. So first of all, as I told you before, we get shown what we can get inside. Again, it's a bit much, but hey. Then let's take a look. One of the first things we see is already have one of these red things that we need to encounter, telling us that these are dangerous. That's the progression part, by the way. But then as we keep on walking, one of the other important things we see is, first of all, this. Second of all, what we're going for. There's one of the things that you'll see is that very early on in the levels, almost every time when you start a level, you already see where you want to go, what your end goal is. Now, I'm going to quickly finish this puzzle because there aren't a lot of interesting things inside the puzzle themselves right now because we're using mostly the same tools again. But make it a chance for yourself. See whatever interesting things would be in here on the design side. The placement, how much of there is. For example, the priming of your vision, where you want to see, because this is obviously one of the first things you'll see inside, telling us already that there's one of these. So we're gonna probably need a jammer for that one, helping us remind us that we at some point need to bring a jammer towards that one. So as we keep walking, we find that one, go in further, block that one, then we follow these yellow lines that keep us primed as to that this is something technological instead of fitting in the world, showing it that there's a button. Buttons are easy. Green is on, red is off. Yeah. Get this one, because that one is now obviously being turned off. Block you. And get you. And the game is almost always nice enough to make sure that
the shapes you are collecting are not mere toys. They are the sigils of our name. Each brings you closer to eternity.
Not mere toys? I mean, one of the only reasons that these shapes got as popular as they were is because of Tetris, which I guess exists in this world, because I know that this is some kind of existential world that lives like 1,000 years from now or something like that. At least a lot later than we live now. But still from Tetris, which made the Tetronymus popular, which is a game. So, it's kinda games. It's kinda toys. Very well. Let's move on. Once again. Also, keep mind of the color patterns here. There's something very interesting to look at those. The color pattern a bit later on in the game will get mangled a bit, as there will be, for example, lasers that will often just use the color to keep them apart from both each other, not really use the color coding to show you what is dangerous and what will set you back and stuff like that. But hey, you can't keep theme with everything at all times. Also, by the way, show them where you want to go right from the beginning. This, by the way, a very smart thing that already teaches us something now.
Well done, child. Only one more sigil is needed.
Jesus God! Can you stop talking, please? I'm trying to explain something here. This puzzle element, basically here, when we can shut something out, is something that we can use now to teach us how to do this for a later point where it's more dangerous. As at this point, we can easily, from like here, open this, making sure that we're never anywhere close to it. It keeps us safe, basically. Nicely using the tactics where, from the start, we first get taught something in a safe environment where we need to put it inside of the environment and inside the puzzle where it's not as safe anymore. Screw you. Noink. Let's see. Oh yeah. Once again, priming that we can't go through this normally. We need to... Come on! Move back already! Jesus Christ, man! Move! Showing us that we need to take care of this. Now, whenever we go to the side, because this is the first thing that we can get to go to the side, first thing we'll see is over there is that there's one of those blue barriers. So we need to open that at some point. We already see over there that there's one of these, and then we can't use it for anything else. There's two of these, so at some point we need to get past both of them, without being attacked by both of them. These hallways, though, will prevent us from doing such things. Luckily we can get past this one already, proven, but that one's going to be a problem, since that one will patrol in front of it. But we've already been taught before that we can get them out of here and block them as well with the barriers. So this is one of those environments where it's more dangerous. Well, it's the same puzzle solution in a more dangerous environment, because this time you need to be a bit quicker on the toes to get past this. Let's finish this one. There we go. And then, providing the easy way back, we now can use this one to block that one and just...
My temple awaits you, child. Go forth.
Yes, I will. Well, so how about we quickly finish those other puzzles, and if you're interested, how about you go seeing what you can find about interesting things on how they work.
My child, you do not need to collect all sigils at once. You are free to return to this place whenever you choose.
You'll find out, by the way, that God is a bit talkative and probably fake. Probably very, very fake. I need to keep you open for now. I need to get that one first. Go. You. Once again, by the way, we get shown where we want to go right from the beginning. Yes, yes. That's also one of the nice things, by the way. We already notice where he is before we see him, which will help us survive in this world. Great stuff. Helps us keep us on
You
our toes.
are most diligent. Perhaps this trait will serve you well in times to come.
I'm probably not that diligent, having to wait 4 days before I started making this video as a replacement for the first one that came out on Monday, and it's now Thursday. Could have probably done a little bit better. I'm sorry, guys, really. I've been busy! Sort of. Once again, the QR code's, by the way, in the darker side, not in the light. Something interesting to look at. Well, if this doesn't show us where to go, then I don't know. There's a light literally in the end of the tunnel, and if we literally start walking from it like this, it will get broken up by this thing showing us that it's important, as it's literally shown upon by the light. Couldn't get more obvious. Also, something interesting to look at is the eye. telling us that it's more... We humans look for eyes to humanize things. That's the reason why we often in like cans and on chairs and cars and everything like that, we start seeing faces as we look for them to humanize it. Eyes are one of the things that makes us look the most human-like. Our eyes tell a myriad of emotions, and even without knowing what our eyes tell other people, we often, at least subconsciously, get what they're trying to tell. So this eye shows already that this computer has something human inside of it, something like a person, which is one of the biggest themes that will come up, as there's a lot of text about the existential crisis of being a person or not, stuff like that, and it will also have a program with which you start to interact as if it were a human, and other interesting things like that. Now, one of the things I will say about the computer is it has its problems. It's a strong theming point, and it helps the theme in a lot of ways, but it's a drag to get through everything, and I think it could have probably be done a bit better by, for example, as we are a robot anyway, as we've seen before, maybe we could pull the text that's inside of this, that's integral to the game's plot and story. Maybe we could put that like on an overview on the right side of the screen, so we can read while we'll start walking somewhere or anything like that, because there's a lot of walking in this game. And I, for example, put the walking speed at the highest pace because ADHD wanted to go fast, stuff like that. Basically the human Sonic the Hedgehog or anything like that. Well, actually, no, I can't speak one for shit, but that's not the point. There were a lot of points in this game where we could use the text to basically bridge the gap of walking between stuff, where it is not done, and I think that's something that it falls apart on a little bit. The text is interesting, but it becomes a drag, especially because there's also things like errors within the text that will help you solve puzzles at some later point, I believe, and it makes it harder to read, and it will stop the flow of the game entirely. And that's one of its biggest flaws. There's this inherent speed and progression in the game where you keep on thinking about how to solve the puzzles, where you can go, where you can take anything, making progression. Well, this is the only, basically non-blue thing that will halt your progression entirely. And it will, for a part, at least halt your thinking, as you're now more receiving than giving to the world. It helps the theme, but it breaks the game a little bit, and it stops the flow, which I think could have been done better. Maybe at least with an overlay, maybe there could have been vocals for this. It's a computer, so it could actually be just computerized vocals. And for your pleasure and my entertainment and everything like that, I will make sure that there are some vocals in there so you can keep listening to this instead of having to read with me. I hope you like them. I've done them all myself. But yeah, I think this could have been done better. So let's have a look. Loading library session done. Hunting local discs. Blah blah blah. Hi. Turn on command. Very well. Help. We can display a list of available resources. We can open a certain file. We can display the help once again, and we can run the Milton Library Assistant, which is the advanced interface, which is something that we'll be doing a lot later. Let's first list these. Very well. Let's take a look for all of them. Like I said, they will be spoken aloud by me and me personally for your entertainment, because they'll probably be to laugh at some point. But hey. And then we'll be doing the MLA, finishing this off, and when we reach the temple, we'll be that will be the end of this. Basically stopping where we stopped last time.
Hi again. I'm sorry if I was a little odd at the meeting. I know you were nervous, but the truth is that so was I. This may be hard to believe, but you intimidate me. You're so young and you've already accomplished so much. If the situation wasn't so grim, I might even be jealous. There's also something I wanted to clarify. I realize that, normally speaking, I'm head researcher here. But this is your project, and everyone will respect that. And yes, I know you're not used to working like this, but as of today, you're in charge. No pressure. G, let's do this.
Very well. There's some kind of conversation between two female scientists within a company where one is quite new and has been alluded to as some kind of genius, probably. And got into company pretty young. And they don't just feel comfortable with how good she was. Because that happens a lot. Let's open Athena 6.
Chapter 6. Athena in the Garden of Hesperides. Did not trust it, but they moved with such grace, such stability that it was hard not to follow further into this strange garden of gazing cones. It led her to a place where the crowns of brass trees seemed to grow together, forming a kind of chamber strangely reminiscent of a chapel. And above this chamber grew a smaller tree, made of bright blue steel, and upon this tree grew a single golden apple. This apple said in unison. The eyes aglow. Golf is the gift of deathlessness, and true wisdom. Many heroes, and not a few villains, have come to claim it, and all fault is the final step. We must know that deathlessness reveals the mortality of the world, and true wisdom its unending folly. Who would take this burden upon themselves? Some say that Heracles, gazing upon the stars, and...
That's interesting. One of the interesting parts that I noticed from this, especially thanks to those few numbers in between, is that this is not decimal, this is hexadecimal. So every figure we see here is actually a lot more in decimal whenever we think of it. Cool. Sadly, I do not know from the top of my head how to calculate hexadecimal to decimal. Do not believe it's as easy as just counting it like 16 times and just adding everything together. There's probably some kind of mathematical equation for that, which I have forgotten since it's been a long time since I last worked with hexadecimals. Well, actually, that's not true. I use hexadecimals a lot for colors, but then you don't need to calculate. Let's be fair.
The way I see it, world doesn't come with a manual. You gotta figure it out on your own.
We just see
Sit here, sit there, put it together. Trying to make sense of it. I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's the truth, but it doesn't mean that everyone who claims to know it really does. Then again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. We live in an amazing world, and searching for the truth can be a real adventure. Plus, it's good for the brain. Anyway, just some rambling thoughts from your old man. Don't let this stuff get you down. You're young.
Oh,
You've got loads of time to figure it all out. Love, Dad.
I'm not sure if this is for the same scientist we just read about. It might be. It certainly makes us think to put a connection there, since we just read about the scientist there being new. This moment of vulnerability of the young scientist, and then basically being, well, getting a pep talk from that dad. It could be, but it, for purpose, doesn't show us from who it is and to who it is. So that we might just be getting on the wrong foot here, and that might be on purpose. Let's run the MLA and get this through with. Loading Milton Library Assistant done. Initiating plain language interface done. Support session open.
Welcome, guest. How can I help you today?
You understand what I'm saying?
Understand is a strange way to put it, but yes.
Describe your functions.
The Milton Library Assistant is designed primarily to sort and classify data in the library archive. Secondarily, it facilitates user interaction with library resources via a intuitive human language interface. It also provides powerful networking and troubleshooting functions.
What are these terminals?
Terminals provide access to the library resource archive.
No other library archives.
Library resource publishing dates range from 1st July 1995 to 27th June 603F.
If we keep in mind the hexadecimals, this could actually be like year 3000 or something like that. Because then in that case, the 203F in hexadecimals means it's a lot higher because every time it's calculated in 16s, not in tenths. How long has the system been running?
The system has been active for 999
That's a long ass time.
years.
Now, I'm not sure if the E is for... Jeez, what's the English for that? Give me a second. Looking it up. Got it! Got it! So that E could be an E within the hexadecimals, keeping within the theme, but that 99999E could also be 99999 being to the power of 10. Since I believe just an E means it's to the power of 10. If I cut my math still somewhere floating up in this brain. Right. So that could either be a generally just huge number because of the hexadecimals, or that could be 99,990 years. One of those. Something like that. Certainly, at least keep shooting your toes on about how old this shit could be and things like that, because every time you're not sure if they're using normal decimals or hexadecimals. What's the current status of the library archives?
There are 47 million resources in archive, taking up to 5.4212750 petabytes of disk space. That is approximately the size of 30 billion photos, 7 million minutes of HD video. The entire internet in 2003. However, the majority of library resources are corrupted or invalid.
That is a lot.
7.6954751 gigabytes of uncorrupted resources are indexed.
What caused all that data corruption?
Progressive data corruption is inevitable in any system over time. Additionally, a large number of inconsistencies were detected during sorting, leading to greater than average data invalidation.
Very well. Get the library. Can you respond to queries on the outside?
My knowledge is limited to the data in the library archive. You can ask about other topics, but my responses may be limited.
What was Elohim?
Elohim is the noun for God, or gods, in modern and ancient Hebrew.
Yep. Once again, that shows the theme. There's going to be going on a lot with gods, so... Only we didn't want to call it God. It's Elohim. That was special and shit. Very well. What am I?
You are logged in with a guest account.
Yeah, okay. True. Let me guess. Or ever thought about what the answer of this can be.
You are currently in a support session with the MLA, Human Language Interface Module. Your library archive session may be resumed at any time.
I thought it was gonna tell me the exact coordinates of where this terminal is at, or maybe the number of this terminal. Like, you are currently at terminal 506289. But it's even worse! Not even talking about the terminal. Very well. Let's activate this. So, and goodbye. That's enough text for now. I guess you've also seen how much this breaks the flow of the game. While you've just been running, finishing puzzles, especially when you've been using shift to sprint like I normally do while in this game, and then suddenly you're standing there for like 20 minutes reading shit. Yeah. That could have been done better. Oh well. Follow the light! Later. Let's first do some more puzzles, because I like damn puzzles. Interesting. We already know how that works, but now it's more dangerous. More dangerous, yes. Whoop. Oh. Come on. Get over here. Doop, doop, doop. Let's give some distance. Let's get you. Whoop. And... fuck you. And that's that one done. Go to the other side for the last one. Well, once again, repetition of the fact that first of all we always see where we want to go, and a puzzle that we've done before, but now more dangerous. Whoop. 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 Goodbye. Oh, I need to take you with me. Come on. There we go. And got that sigil. Oink. Those couple of things are also, by the way, interesting to see what's coming up. We've not seen anything about that yellow thing yet, but we know we've also almost got it, so we know it exists. You know, it will help us with something. And the yellow and the green theming will also help us at a later point, showing us some special information about what type of sigils you're collecting and what type of thing you'll unlock by getting them all. But that's maybe something for a next video.
Step into the light, child, and my temple will be revealed to you.
God! Why are you so rude? I'm talking to the people here. Talking to the nice people watching this video, and every time I want to say something, you come and try and talk to them. Do you have a problem? Do you need more attention? Is that the whole problem? Do you didn't get enough attention as a child? People with a God complex. Jesus Christ. Very well. This is one of the things, by the way, I was talking about before, about showing you what's inside of the world and alluding to the secret that I did not find. That over there, yes, that star. I didn't do well. I needed to do more. Oh, well, I got the rest of them, so...
You walk now upon the stones of my temple, whence many gates lead. And know that I have other temples, for my garden is greater than your eye can encompass. And all these worlds I made for you.
Oh, thank you. You're so nice. I couldn't look at you. I couldn't find the sun. It doesn't show me the sun. Damn it. I wanted to look you in the face when you said it to me. Oh well. As we're inside, we see that there are multiple worlds for us to discover, as you just told us. Very well. I will call an end to this video here. I would like to thank you all for coming on this tourist trip with me and taking a look around inside of the Talos Principle. There might be a second video. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about because there's not much else to tell, but I'm probably going to show you some of the different mechanics inside of there and see how those work out in a design perspective vision. I would like to thank you all for joining us on this tour. I have been your host, Zev. This has been Sightseeing. And don't forget, just keep rolling.